Coming to you live in about fucking time we got to do it, Carrie. It's your boy Steve-O. You can find me on Venmo at SMRT. You can also find me on Twitter at Drunk Shy Sox Fan. And joining me, as always, the one, the only, arguably the most loved and hated person on White Sox Twitter, Carrie at That Base By Fan. Carrie.
What's going on, Steve? It's been a while.
It's been
We've had a lot of shit going on just between the both of us. I mean, I will see you at my wedding in what, 3 days?
Yeah, no,
4 days?
I cannot believe that your wedding is right around the corner. Seriously, life has come at us fast in the past. It's been about 6 weeks since we got on the microphone together and recorded an episode, but I am really glad that we're finally able to do this. Our last episode, I believe, released May 10th.
Yeah,
So,
and you know what the best part is when we released it, I believe the Sox were still like 3 to 4 games out, and you look at the MLB standings today, and they're only 4.5 games out again, and still like 11 games under 500. So nothing's really changed at all.
Literally nothing has changed other than possibly my belief in the idea that this team can pull it out their asses.
Yeah.
They seem to pull it out of their asses in this past series against the Angels a little bit. They scored 20 runs in the last 2 days, Gary.
I know.
It's kind of fucking crazy. I really didn't think they had it in them.
And Tim had two hits today. I mean,
yeah, it's the Shaq meme. I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game. That's how I feel about the Chicago White Sox offense after these last couple games.
I mean, they've been playing like teams that are good pretty well. I mean, they might not win them all, but they like are competitive until something dumb happens, right?
No, 100%, 100%. Give me your thoughts on where the state of the White Sox. Kidding.
Yeah, we'll talk. But right, it's been 6 weeks. Right, it's been a month and a half. Right. I think we already said it. Things are the same. Nothing's changing. I mean, all that's changing is for the bad, you have injuries galore. So nothing's really changed. I mean, your closer's gone. Who else is hurt? Moncada. I don't know if that man's returning. I don't know. Who knows? Your fifth starter's hurt, and he was actually pitching well. So you have some, key injuries there. The good, though, is that Eloy Jimenez is playing baseball.
He's actually just playing baseball. And when he plays baseball, he hits the baseball.
Yeah, and you just want to see him play, but Luis Robert, that guy's a fucking dog.
Luis Robert is insane.
He's insane.
He is an absolute stud. I mean, he's showing what he's made of. He's showing why he was the number 1 or number 2 prospect in Major League Baseball. He's showing why he was the top international signing of his year. And for good reason, right? I mean, the guy is raking. Period. Like, it's not just against lefties. It's not just, in clutch situations. It's not just at the beginning of the game or the end of the game. No, I mean, he's hitting. He's hitting the baseball well, and he's a lot more comfortable at the plate. He's laying off more pitches outside of the zone. I know that was the big complaint with Luis in the past, is that he's not able to lay off the pitches that, the slider against, a righty is up against him, the slider that's breaking out of the zone. Right.
It hits the dirt. Yeah.
Or exactly. Or the lefty that's able to bury one down and in on him. Right. Like, and especially the outside pitches. Right. That was always the complaint with Luis. He's laying those off. He's looking so much more comfortable. I don't think his walk rate has increased, but it's not going to when you're hitting the way you are. So, it's glad, I do have to acknowledge this. I'm very glad that we've got some comments here in the comment section. Really just, our guys, Chris and Senor, trolling us. Speaking of trolling, a big middle finger to Jordan Miller here, for calling us, slackers and hooligans here.
And didn't he block you?
He did. He still has me blocked. So I would really appreciate in the one group chat that must not be named, if you could just go in there and say,
ask Brett. I guarantee you
I asked Brett to say something to him. Okay. I definitely will. Will you take Senor up on his offer there, by the way?
What a dumb fucking comment, man.
I know.
Not Senor's comment.
Exactly. And we got the legend, Gabe, in the comments.
Gabe.
Fucking
Love Gabe. Love Gabe.
All right. Well, Carrie, because we have so much baseball to catch up on and so little time, I'm not even going to try. What I am going to do is I'm going to ask you a series of would you rather questions. Are you ready for this?
Sure. Let's
right.
do it. I have not heard any of these.
Exactly. I wouldn't expect you to. I wanted to surprise you with this. Exactly. So, my first question for you, Carrie, is about our manager of the Chicago White Sox, as well as the owner of our Chicago White Sox. I'm keeping the GM out of it because I already know your feelings on him. Would you rather have Pedro Grifol manage this team for the next 10 years, or would you rather have Jerry own this team until he's 100?
I would rather have Pedro Grifol manage this team.
Explain that one to me.
Because I've seen plenty of teams make it to the World Series and win it with average to shitty to average managers. Whereas if you don't have an owner that's bought in this new era of baseball, right? You're never going to win a World Series if you don't spend money and, do things the right way. If you're going to, rebuild, you actually have to buy good players, not named like Dallas fucking Keuchel, like superstars, right? So it doesn't always work out. I mean, the Padres right now, kind of a shit show, right? I mean, but that's like one of, and they made it to NLCS last year, right?
Right.
So, give me Grifol managing all day over that motherfucker being our owner. I can't stand him.
I think that's
I wear a Bull shirt. Fuck.
Right on brand. He's got you hooked. He's got you with the carrot, Carrie. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think your answer is the right answer. I really want to bitch about Pedro Grifol.
Do it. Let's do it.
Which I think I'm going to get to in my next question. Are we going to address Senor's comment about your hatred?
I fucking hate that motherfucker. He's the worst. The worst. Like, look at Steven. Look at another, one of us, Stephen Cohn, right?
Yeah.
Probably the most Jewish last name there is. Goes out there and like tells his fans like, this sucks, and I'm with you, and I take blame for it, even though the man has like the highest payroll, so he shouldn't really be to blame. It should be on their GM.
Exactly, right? You're talking about an owner that has said to his GM, go out there and spend the money, build the best team that you possibly can.
It's the same thing.
Like, go build the best possible team you can. And obviously the Mets are underperforming in a pretty good division. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
a winnable division, though.
Right. It is a winnable division outside of Atlanta. I think Atlanta's head and shoulders really above everybody else, but they should be in contention for a wild card spot, not sitting at 500 or below. Yeah. Right. Now, then you got Steve Cohen, who goes out, spends that money, gives trust to his GMs, says these guys know their stuff, but then still takes ownership over it. As an owner, takes ownership over his team and the failures. It's fantastic. You would never see that from Jerry Reinsdorf ever. Not a fucking chance.
No.
I mean, and then there's a lot of other owners that are like that too. But at the same time, what happens with a Jerry team when he spends money and they don't prove themselves? He dips down the spending. Mm-hmm. What happens with Steve Cohen or AJ Preller when they fall short of the World Series? We're going to spend more.
Go for it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the problem too, is Jerry is, in the juggernaut AL Central.
What's funny, Steve, about that is like, you see how upset Mets fans are, and like one of my really good friends is a Mets fan. I mean, you'll meet this guy, at my wedding, and he's like a diehard, right? And he's always just bitches about that. I'm like, dude, do you remember where you were like 5 years ago when you had the Wilpons owning your team?
Right.
Just another Jerry Reinsdorf. Like, let's not fucking forget where you came from. So like, I feel like the Sox, if they ever have someone that just comes in and just does what they're doing, like, I think they're gonna know where to direct their attention. It's to like the GM. You know what I'm saying? Like we all hate our shout out Freak Fleming. Exactly. Chris knows.
Yep.
You know, Sox fans know this is Rick Hahn. You know, we all fucking know Jerry who he is, right? But like, you know, I can't even concentrate with Senor's comments, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if we ever get a good owner like that, we won't have. I feel like we'll know where to direct our attention if we have a shitty team in a situation like the Mets.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, these comments are fantastic. So really big shout out to Chris and Senior for keeping us entertained. And yes, don't get me started on Brandon Nimmo. These colors don't run, baby. I can't believe I just said that on air. Gary, my next one. And maybe this is where I'll get into my Pedro Grifol bitch session. Would you rather have Lance Lynn off the starting rotation for all eternity, or would you rather Tim Anderson bat no higher than 7 until he figures it out?
I think Tim Anderson, and I only say that because Tim Anderson plays more. And you just saw Lance Lynn throw 16 strikeouts. I mean, the man's, no matter what, you have to know when Lance Lynn's pitching now, he's letting up 3 to 4.
Yeah.
3 to 4 runs per game. He's going to go 6-7 innings, but he's definitely landing up 3 to 4 no matter what. And that's a good game. There's no more Lance Lynn 6 innings, no earned runs anymore. That's just out of the equation.
Right. I would agree with you that the Tim Anderson factor has been awful. And I think, as much as you can't measure this with metrics, you can't measure this with advanced statistics, I have to say that Tim Anderson needs a reality check. A big time reality check of, dude, you're out there on the field and you suck. You suck offensively. You suck defensively. You suck on the base paths. And on top of that, you got your own shit that's in the closet right now, right? That you're hiding.
Yeah, but I know people want to harp on that shit, but
people are gonna make their own decisions. Okay.
Who cares what he does on his own time?
I mean, I don't care what he does on his own time, but are you gonna tell me right now that you don't think that the drama has had an effect on the way that he plays?
I do. I do. I agree. It definitely has. I mean, he went out on a podcast, and that's when people got pissed off about Brian being honest and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I hear a lot of people are bringing up that TA might be injured. If that's the case, they would have sat him. I mean, this is a dude that's under contract through 24 or through 25.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't be pressing him with how bad they're playing if he was actually seriously injured. Think about Yohan Moncada, right?
Yeah.
Signed through 25. They're benching him. And it's like an indefinite bench. It's like,
oh, yeah.
What was Pedro Grifol's comment? He could be out 2 weeks. He could be out 2 months. At this point, he could be out 2 years.
It's Matt Nagy. That's who Pedro Grifol is.
It's not a bad comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, I get, you know what? It's a little bit of Matt Nagy vibes, but there hasn't been any success. At least Matt Nagy came in first year and just rolled with what he had, right? And had
Tim Anderson
season. It's really the Jim Boylan. He's
Jim Boylan. Yeah. That's a good one.
He's Jim fucking Boylan to me.
By the way, Tim Anderson is worth -1.2 WAR.
-1.2 B WAR. That's absurd. That's so bad. To let you know how bad that is, Phillies fans, and the 108 guys just talked about this on their show. Phillies fans are ragging on how bad Trey Turner is this year.
Yeah.
I think he has a 1.2 positive B WAR. Okay. Imagine if they had Tim Anderson at -1.2. And yes, maybe this is popping into the comments late, but yes, Chris and I totally agree. Reminds me of Jim Boylan, frickin' Pedro Grifol.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am so happy that Adam is in the comments with us as well, telling us that this is his favorite White Sox podcast and that he loves us. We love you too, Adam. Yes, there actually was another pod on tonight, Senor. You and I were both in the comment section. Tim's sore testicles apparently is what he needs. recovery time for,
Yeah.
according to Senor. Oh, that's good. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, I mean, dude thinks he's a superstar, and he is the furthest thing from a superstar.
Right
He's
now,
honestly
yeah.
not even on. He's not even at replacement level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Some people like to think that he's like fucking God still or something like that. But he's not. He's not good this year.
no, not even close. Mind you, too, though, I do have to bitch quick about Grifol and Lance. Like the fact that did I bring this up already, or am I just too high right now?
What?
The fact that Pedro Grifol went out there after Lance Lynn's outing today and said he did an incredible job. The dude gave up. Well, I got to look up that stat line. Was it 6 innings, 5 earned?
I think so.
Like, that's so fucking bad for a guy that got Cy Young votes 2 years ago. Less than 2 years ago, calendar days ago.
6 innings, 5 earned
6
runs,
innings,
2
5
walks.
earned, 2 walks, 8 hits. His ERA was at 6.40 to start the game. It went up, folks. It went up to 6.47. Just so fucking bad.
And like they keep on trying to push it on the broadcast. This is how he started, and then since this time, then he got better. Blah blah blah. It's like he's not who he is anymore. Just shut up.
Well, he had a string of really bad outings. Then he had a string of okay outings. Then he's been really hot or really cold. Like you get 16 strikeouts one game, but you suck ass the next, right?
Yeah.
My next one for you is about your favorite human being on the entire earth. Who is it, Carrie? You already know. It's Rick Hahn. Would you rather have Rick Hahn gone only to be replaced by Chris Getz, or know that the next 5 seasons, the White Sox will be a bottom 5 team in the league?
I think it's a trick question.
You want? Let me add in the caveat that there'll be a bottom 5 team if you get to pick the GM. Bottom 5 team, 5 years, you get whatever GM you want, but then, or Rick Hahn gets replaced by Chris Getz.
So you're saying like they would?
Oh no, that doesn't make sense at all.
You're saying the GM would start a new rebuild or something? No, I'm saying it's a trick question because Chris Getz is just more of the same with Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams. So like, you get that it's going to be the same shit, and then.
So you think Kenny Williams is the bigger problem then?
I think Kenny and Rick are just a product of Jerry Reinsdorf and being. Look at Arturas on the Bulls too. It's the same shit with him now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Same with Eversley. Whenever they talk, you're just like, this is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's and just stuck in mediocrity. So yeah, I don't know. I would rather not have Getz and just have somebody else come in and maybe tank for 5 years to be good. Like
yeah, I think that's where it's at right now, right? Is it at the point where the White Sox just tank?
How can you say that though? Like being 4.5 games out, like they could easily. I'm looking at their schedule. They play the Oakland A's the next 3 games. Okay.
All right. That brings up my next one, Carrie.
Yeah.
You. This is a perfect segue. Would you rather the White Sox make the playoffs only to possibly get blown out in the first round, or completely implode, have a terrible stretch, and just rebuild the rebuild?
Make the playoffs. I mean, the White Sox don't make the playoffs often, so why not just make it and be happy? Anything can happen. Not saying anything would happen. Like you have Lance Lynn is your third starter out there, letting up like 6 runs in a playoff game. So and I agree, Chris, with what you said. This draft class is decent. I mean, the pitching looks pretty good, but I don't know. I've just historically the White Sox can't draft and develop people. They've only had like 3 guys on the top of my head the past like 10 to 15 years that have been good that they've drafted and developed. Mm-hmm. So,
yep. and one of them we were just ragging on for not
being a
superstar. And
and one's not even on the team anymore, and he's hurt. Yeah. Right. And the other one is also hurt. Chris Sale.
Mm-hmm.
Sale, Rodon, and Tim Anderson. Those three guys, and now
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. But
And the only real question mark left is Andrew Vaughn, right?
yeah, he looks okay.
Right. I mean,
This
he's
is
not
his third year by now. It's like, okay, I think we know this is who he is by the end of the year.
What he progressed from year 1 to year 2. I really thought year 2 to year 3 he was going to be. I thought we would be the conversations we're having about the way Luis Roberts hitting. I thought we were going to have these conversations about Andrew Vaughn this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I thought we were going to get like solid Luis if he stays healthy. I know he has
Amazing what he is
MVP.
doing.
Yeah, I know he has MVP potential in his future if Shohei Ohtani goes to the NL.
Yeah.
But this is, especially hitting wise, this is much better than I thought Luis could.
Now, what happens when Shohei's on the White Sox next year and him and Luis are together? Who wins MVP?
Oh, I like your thinking. No, there's no chance. Not a fucking chance.
Fucking chance.
Don't even.
And you know what's funny is like they could afford it with the contracts coming off.
They absolutely could. They
Because
absolutely
Grandal and Lance Lynn, you can get rid of that contract. And
this is, yeah.
That's like $36 million right there. You just give it to Shohei. Give him
There's
40.
some really bad contracts that need to come off the books like as soon as possible.
I mean, like if you think about it, Jerry loves saving his money, right? You get 2 for 1, Jerry. Come on, I fucking love 2 for 1, and we're the same people. We're
exactly.
2 for 1.
Yeah, Senor out here, Romy and Cease for Shohei. That's
Easily.
hilarious.
Well, I don't know.
That's cute.
Someone did tell Rick Hahn about Romy in.
Yeah, that's right. Romy's a real 5-tool player.
He said, "Don't trade that guy.
Don't trade."
Someone told Rick Hahn that. Rick Hahn said that in the in spring training. So I don't think they would do that trade.
That's fucking hilarious. Now, did you see that? I can't remember who originally tweeted it, but it got bigger because, of course, Chinese, Taiwanese Twitter bot farm, Shy Sox fan Mike commented or quote tweeted it. Are you laughing at what I just said?
Yeah, what?
That's how he got all his followers.
Oh God.
For his high school. Never mind, I'm not going there. Now, if it was Cease and Giolito for a top tier guy.
Who's a top tier guy?
I mean, we're not talking Shohei, but I mean, we're talking who was the original tweet?
But why would that even be a thing?
Would you trade 2 arms for a really good bat?
Well, of course, but like it just wouldn't be a thing though, because why would they do that?
Why would the White Sox do that?
Why would any team do that? I mean,
right.
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it was, and it's not top tier. It's possible top tier. This was actually from a Bleacher Report article.
Oh God.
Baltimore sends Jackson Holiday.
I saw that.
For Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, and Lenyn Sosa.
There's no way. Because Dylan Cease, with how much control he has left in his contract and how much money he makes, is netting 2 top 50. Yeah, probably 2 top 100 prospects at least. At least 100%.
I think that's crazy. Because think about what Chris Sale got you.
Both. He got you that.
Chris Sale got you number 1 and number like 40 something, right?
Yeah, I'm saying 2 top 100 guys. They can easily get you 2 top 100 guys for Dylan Cease.
I think Cease is worth 1.
I don't know. I disagree.
You think Cease at the end of last year was.
But Chris Sale only had like 2 years left on that deal. I think Cease has like 3 or 4 left. I think he signed till 2027.
So you're convinced that the Dylan Cease that we saw last year is a lot closer to the Dylan Cease that we're seeing this year.
Look what he's doing his last like 3-4 games against some fucking good teams.
I mean, we're still talking about a guy that has an over 4 ERA this year. And I'm not saying that ERA is the end all be all, but
just go through. Okay, take away a shitty May, okay, and in April, and this month he's got a 2.2 ERA, and that's against Miami, Los Angeles Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Angels. Those aren't bad. Those are all playoff caliber teams right now. And the other one was against Detroit, who he always dominates, but like, I don't know, 9 strikeouts, 10, 9. I mean, he looks more like who he was last year.
Fair enough.
Hello, Jim.
Yep. It's good to have Beer Garden Jim, the actual Beer Garden Jim, in the chat.
The Beer Garden Jim.
The Beer Garden Jim.
Oh yeah, the other one's yeah.
Yep, the burner.
The burner.
All right, if you say so. I
don't know.
I think if the White Sox were to offer Cease for Jackson Holiday straight up, I'd probably take it. Just because of the Tim Anderson we're starting to see as well. I think they need a key shortstop to really hone in on.
But like,
then again, Yohan Moncada was the number 1 overall prospect too.
That's what I'm saying, right? And you have Dylan Cease for 4 more years. Like, I don't know. You could do a lot with him. You know, you could try to go for it again, or try to retool or something like that, and you still have an ace on your team, right?
Right.
It looks like you have him and Kopech for the next few years together.
Yeah. Part of me worries that Dylan Cease is not as good as who he was last year. Part of me still feels that. I really do believe he's a really good pitcher. I'm worrying he's not Cy Young quality. But
if
it could just be a blip.
If you look at his games, though, Steve, 2 bad games where he went 4 innings, 6 earned runs, 5 innings, 7 earned runs. Everything else has been like 4 and under. He's been a pretty decent pitcher this year, and he's just starting now to get it going.
Hey, I hope that it's a continued upward trajectory for sure. You
know, saw him his first couple starts too. I mean, he was pretty dominant.
Yeah. I mean, that opening start against Houston, I was like, I mean, I threw down my Cy Young bet that night. I threw down my Cy Young bet that night, which isn't playing well. DFA Cortez McAdams. I will agree with that. To even complain about the pitching staff though is hard, and I think the only reason why I'm doing it is because they were just faced up against the Angels. They gave up quite a few runs, especially the last couple games, but they also scored so fucking much. This offense is just so bad, Carrie. That's why they're in the position they're in.
Mm-hmm.
The bullpen been pretty good this year, outside of Raylo.
Besides the first month, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean they've been really
Santos
good.
Santos is a fucking beast.
Gregory Santos is a beast. Keenan Middleton,
beast.
I mean, what a freaking find!
And you know what? I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, about how my first child's middle name is gonna be Keenan. Yeah.
No, I wanted to bring up that you look at guys like Middleton and Santos.
I know where you're going with this one.
Why do you have to spend so much fucking money on a bullpen, Rick? You know, Joe Kelly, he's been decent this year, and Graveman, he's been decent this year actually, but
Graveman's been good.
He just makes him look stupid. It's like this money could have been spent on the Nick Castellanoses and the Schwarbers of the world, where they're not top of the market guys and they're getting $80 to $90 million instead of $100. And you would rather have those guys right now than fucking, a combination of Graveman and Kelly and even like Liam Hendricks, So I don't know.
1,000%. Yeah, it's just you can't unless you are spending like the New York Mets, which as Rick Hahn, you're not going to spend like the New York Mets. You're not going to spend like the Padres or the Yankees or the Dodgers of the world, right? You got to budget smartly, and you got to get guys out there that are going to play 150 plus games a year, right? And that was the problem too. The White Sox bet on all of these guys: Moncada, Eloy, Luis. and Luis has been fantastic this year, so it's no dig to him.
He's almost worth 4 WAR already. By the way,
right.
Incredible.
Moncada. I already said Moncada, right?
Yeah, he's.
I
know
mean,
he's
he has
your
Monty
guy, man.
Grandal even.
Well, you got Grandal because you thought 2020, 21, right? 22 was like
he depreciated quickly.
But that's what catchers do. And
Big
when
time.
you signed him, you knew that. You said, okay, this is for like the first 2.5, 3 years, and then he's going to fall off because he's a 34-year-old catcher, and and it's happened. But you didn't. Yasmani Grandal, that was your marquee signing as a hitter, and that was your problem to begin with, right? Like you supplement that with Machado, right, or somebody else, then that move looks even better because Grandal wasn't having to bat 4th and 5th and worrying about him being healthy all the time. So
right, exactly.
We can go all day about that.
Once again, it's guys that you shouldn't have bet everything on. Yeah. Right? That's the problem. Is
the White Sox way.
Yeah. If everything goes well, if everyone stays healthy, if everybody performs to their best, you don't catch lightning in a bottle every 10 years. You catch lightning in a bottle every 88 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how long it took the White Sox to win a World Series. And it might be how long it takes the White Sox to win a World Series again if the same mentality happens.
Yeah.
So on a note here, Carrie, as we kind of wrap this thing up because we're at a half hour. You tell him, Beer Garden Jim, by the way. Invading privacy. It won't end well.
I don't even know half the shit anymore.
Yeah, me either. Let's wrap up on this note. Why the hell are we still White Sox fans?
It's funny. I brought my nephew to a game, and he's like, Uncle Kerry, you complain a lot about the team. Why are you still a fan? And I'm like, the kid that you flicked off, actually?
Yeah, Liam.
My nephew you flicked off, and I told him you were a teacher and that teachers are bad outside of school.
Yep,
but
absolutely.
He's like, why are you still a fan? And I'm like, well, you're just kind of born into this shit. And for me, like leaving another team, God damn it.
Senior,
so good.
Another
so
one.
Good.
The PPP owned by the White Sox.
For a taxi service, I need a PPP loan. Or as Billy would say, a PPE loan. But he's just like, why are you still a fan? And I was like, dude, you're just born in this, and switching to other teams is just wrong. It is. I'm sorry. Unless a team moves, it's just wrong.
Right. I mean, like,
so I'm always going to be a fan. And because I saw them win a World Series when I was 15, and I'm just like, I want that feeling. It's like doing crack, right? I want that feeling, that first feeling back. Give me it again. So.
Absolutely. I think it's so hard for me to, here we go. I'm going to show my age again, Carrie. I was only 10 years old when the White Sox won the World Series.
Yeah, a little different for you.
I don't have like as much of an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
As you, unfortunately, or any of the other old fucks that are in the chat right now bothering us, right? I don't have that same type of appreciation. So it's very hard for me to like cling on to greatness and cling on to what was awesome. Like you clearly remember Frank Thomas's prime.
100%.
I don't clearly remember Frank Thomas's prime. I was born in 1995. Okay.
Yeah.
I caught like some decent years in the late 90s. And I don't know, he was pretty decent in the early 2000s, but like by the time I was really following the game, he was starting to fall off a cliff. It was about number 14, right? It was about Paulie,
And Paulie too, that was my childhood too. So
yeah, and even though these old dudes in the chat are making fun of me because I'm bald,
I didn't even know
swear,
you could hardly notice it, by the way.
Oh no, it's not like glaring from the light. That's
I was just saying you can hardly notice it.
Exactly. That's why tune into the podcast when you can watch this bald head live. So I mean, that's where I'm at. It's like I have so little to hang on to. And part of me just wants to be like, fuck it. But I'm not going to, because I was born this way. I was raised this way. And there's just like so many good memories that I still have.
How I feel about the Bears because I wasn't alive.
Right. exactly. So
but I'm still always a fan. But yeah,
right, right. So I think that's the big thing for me. It's like I have so many great memories still tied to, the ballpark and going with family and being a part of something that was that brought people together,
yeah.
And although this team fucking sucks, Carrie, I am so glad. First off, that my head apparently looks like Senior's right nut. But I am so glad that
That's so good.
this team has done things like bring this podcast together and us doing this thing. And yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why you're like, okay, I'm sticking with it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure we'll get on next week or the week after, and who knows? This team's either going to be like 2 games out and like in this thing, or like back. I mean, they got Oakland for 3, and then you got Toronto and St. Louis. So this is the time now to get back into it. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And this is what happens when you're in the AL Central.
Yeah.
Back to that original comment, right? The juggernaut that is the AL Central, because the White Sox are fucking pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. They're not even a mid team. They are not a mid team,
They're 11 games under.
which I heard earlier, right? They're 11. Oh yeah, they got to be down to like 9 now, right? I thought it was like
the Sox. They're 11 under.
Is it 11 under now?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is 11 under. You are
Yeah.
correct. 36 and 47. We sit here on the night of June 29th, and yeah, somehow they're still in it. So it's going to be great. A couple questions from the chat here. The first one here is for me, Carrie. When is the next insurrection? I'll have to get back to you on that one, Mike Praz. But thank you for joining us.
I love
the chat.
Praz.
He's one of the best Cub fans on Twitter.
Oh yeah, and he knows his shit too.
Oh yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
And the second question is for both of us, Gary, and I'll let you answer first. What's more likely, Jordan Miller having sex again or the White Sox winning another World Series?
I think the White Sox win the World Series. I'm pretty fucking sure. He's probably having sex with his futon right now as we speak.
I was going to say, Adam commented in here, futons
don't count. Yeah.
So it's freaking brilliant. Yeah, I'm gonna still go with Jordan having sex. It may be on the futon though. I would definitely bet on it being the futon.
Question should have been: is Jordan gonna have another threesome?
Oh. On that note, this is the Bleav in the Southside show. Thank you very much for tuning in. We love you guys for tuning in and giving us comments and keeping us going live with the conversation. For those of you that don't tune into us live, thank you for tuning in on the podcast airwaves too. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're wherever you catch your podcasts. We love you guys. Even though this team's terrible, we really, really appreciate you listening and tuning in. And Carrie, you're getting married, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll see you Monday. And I hope you are heavily drunk because I will be. So
indeed, sir. L'chaim.
Absolutely. L'chaim.
And have a good night, everybody. Peace out.
We love Chris too.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely love